we're ready. I think we're good. I think we're going. We are going. All right, got to share the link. Hello, comrades, and welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. Excuse me. The Admiral. There we go. Need to ping everybody. Links in announcements. I'm gonna wake the server up really quick. Wake the good folks that come and hang out. Building stream live now. And I'll try to remember to send that link in a minute. Once everything else is going, I gotta organize my screen here, make sure I've got enough room to see the chat. Of course, I can see the chat. You guys can't see the chat, usually. Well, you might be able to see the chat in a minute. And we gotta play our pregame, but of course, something I need to not forget to do is switch over to route layer if we're gonna do any scenery work today. Hey, Mossy. Hey, Dragon. Alright. We are so back. Mossy, I realize I sort of stole your thunder there. You were offering to take 9 on largest rarity possible, and I did it instead. I should have let you do it. I need to feed your addiction more. Oh, man. You're one of our best employees. I mean, yeah, employees. Alright, let's get this over here. Do that. Say, in Hotel Architect, is the pool always closed? Alright, let's move this there. Let's put this down here if we can get away with it. You're there a lot. Attendance is the metric. I don't think there's anything else I can use that's reliable. Yes, Hotel Architect. Isn't that what you've been playing? I have you on Steam. I see when you go into games. Oh my god, another one? Oh. Oh, well, that was not smart. Alright, now we have a big void at the bottom. Obviously a thing that we want. I didn't think I paid attention to that. Of course I paid attention to that. I need to know what my friends are up to. Whenever I see somebody go into Railroader and it's not with me, I'm like, hey, you should get over here. I was pestering Jader about that earlier. If Jader shows up, that'd be kind of funny. I'm wondering if we're going to get a lot of attendance for LRP tomorrow, or if it's going to only be a couple of people. There have been a couple of mainstays, but I know that a bunch of people have downloaded the pack. Of course, a lot of people have not downloaded the newest version of the largest rarity possible mod pack. But I cannot recommend against. It works okay. LRP stands for Largest Railroader Possible, and it was a project that yeah, I would be like, hey. Yeah, I'd be like, hey, because I'd be worried that you're starting your own save and then you're not going to want to play with us. That's how it always goes in Railroader. Everybody wants to play on their save. Yeah, but it is the amalgam of all the different branch lines that have been made for Railroader, or almost all of them. All of the good ones, anyway. Minus, it's everyone minus 1 or 2 that I skipped either because it made things too cluttered or it was just bad, poorly made. But we've got almost all of them. There's a new one that came out yesterday, or earlier today, or maybe it was really late last night. I'm not actually sure. I didn't check. Yeah, the bad branch line. And it's over in Andrews, so I'm not going to worry about it for a long time. Once we get to Andrews, then I'll probably add it. I could just as well only add things that we could actually get to, but I want to update the pack minimally. I don't want to have to mess with it a lot because right now it is a 10 gigabyte download to get all of the mods. That's a lot of mods. For a lot of people, that is kind of a non-starter because, well, various reasons, but for a lot of people, it's because their internet connection just can't do it. And I respect that. My internet connection doesn't have a great time when I'm uploading it. It is double digits now. Yeah, we crossed 10 gigabytes with the most recent updates. Underscore 7 is a little bit more than 10 gigs. That's despite me zipping it up and trying to make it smaller. But of course, that's the only thing anybody wants to talk about right now. Only thing anybody wants to do, and I understand that. Because it's a lot to do. It's kind of the end all be all of Railroader saves. And, you know, when the next version comes out, I might. I don't know. Well, I would say I would consider making a save and then iterating on. Uh, iterating on the pack every week or so or whatever, however long, and just adding things and adding things and adding things. And that's fun. But the problem with doing that is, especially for things that really change the structure of the game, uh, they're best to have in from the beginning. Because if you're changing like how passengers function or loans function in the middle of a save, not only are you liable to break something, it is a it's it's not the greatest experience to move from what you're used to or what you have been used to in the same setting. Um, you expect game mechanics to mostly stay the same, through a playthrough of something like that. There we go. Here we go. Oh, okay. Good score for now. We're doing good so far. There we go. We're gonna get a triple. Oh, baby, a triple. Somebody, mom, get the camera. Okay. What the heck am I gonna do here? Probably there, I guess. How long should these be? Sometimes I feel like it's too short, sometimes I feel like it's too long. Sometimes I realize it doesn't really matter. I'm doing this for the love of the game, not because we really need like an ample amount of time for people to get in here before I start the stream. Especially because I don't send the link in the Trainz official Discord about this until we get through this. Okay. Jefferson once. Okay. Oh no, that went poorly. Let's put that there. This here. Little didn't understand English. I watched MLG compilations and thought they were just saying random gibberish. I mean, they kind of are anyway. It definitely feels like random gibberish sometimes, but I love the MLG compilation parodies. I miss that era of the internet. That was a really fun few months, I suppose, where they were big and in vogue. I still keep a couple on tap just for fun. Oh, what am I gonna do over there? Wait. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I didn't think fast enough. Okay, well, whoa, whoa. Got quite an avalanche going on the right. Ooh, that was smooth. That was also smooth. Maybe I'm learning. Maybe I'm actually getting better at this. That's crazy. After 10 years. Speaking of after 10 years, There's nobody left alive that remembers my DayZ playthrough, I assume. Um, and uh, I might go play DayZ tonight. It looks like I'm going to boot up DayZ for the first time since 2014. It's crazy to think that I have a game that I bought that I felt like I bought like substantially after the beginning of my gaming career, you might say, and it's been 10 years since I played it. It's been almost 10 years since I played Terraria, and we made videos in that a long time ago, and I think that series is going to come back because it will have been exactly 10 years in May or June. I think it's June. And I never beat the game still. So, I'll leave it to the people that have played a bunch to tell me what the best seeds are or whatever, because I know there are some unusual ones or like the best settings. But damn ignored? What are you saying? What do you mean damn ignored? You're the person I'm not ignoring you. I'm gonna come play DayZ with you. Um did you ping me? Is that what that is? Is that what that ping icon is at the bottom of my screen? Literally go 2 comments up. Huh? I don't I don't see anything else from you. I'm trying to read and play Tetris. Go 2 comments up. I see damn ignored, and then above you, what do you think about Sora's shutdown? And then, all right, we got the thing. All right, we made it past the par score, despite the fact that I was trying to find the censored comment from Achilles. Anyway, I really don't have an opinion on Sora's shutdown. I don't think it's the AI bubble popping or anything crazy like that. I just, it's kind of, for all that I'm not a fan of generative AI, it's kind of a bummer that, like, in a vacuum, it's a bummer. I'm not a fan of generative AI. I don't like things made from it. But, like, Disney was going in on this, and, it was going to be like what I assume was like you'd be able to give prompts and, like, have your favorite Disney characters act out your prompt, which is like, that's like holodeck stuff, you know? Um, excuse me. We we don't have the Subway Surfers corner. We have the other thing. We have the other thing in the corner. What do you call it? The Springfield cam corner. Cam corner. Uh, I appreciate the angry pings from people in the thread for Tolbrynd Peninsula. Yeah, that's not why you're there. You're definitely not there so you can, you know, be alarmed when there's a stream. Okay, we need to figure out what the heck we're doing though. Um, and Nick, if you're sending me whatever you're trying to send me, it's still being censored. I can't see it, whatever the heck it is. I'm worried. Whatever you're doing, YouTube doesn't seem to like it. Uh, okay. We should probably put together the mall parking lot here. I don't know though. I mean, yeah. This is going to be a massive parking lot. And honestly, it's probably even too much. Um, in fact, what I should be doing, let me scoot this over, and then I will put a row of houses here, and then a separator, and then the mall and the mall parking lot. That'll do it. That'll play. Um, let's find a row of houses to steal. We can make a bunch of little shops. We have. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why is it's coming after me today? Apparently, the yawns. They're relentless. Um, we have a lot of little shops kicking around. I think we need one big mall and a giant parking lot. It's like it's time. It's time for that. Uh, this is you know this is gonna be a big deal. We finally got the major attractions out here in no man's land. Okay. Where I lost the mall. It's over here. Spin these towards the road, more or less. I missed. Oh shoot. I can grab one of the houses instead of one of the. I mean, like a slums shops? I don't know what you mean by that. We also, I mean, if you're meaning like a strip mall, we have one of those over there, uh, as well. So we're set with that too. Don't worry, we got everything covered. Practice Fair Classic. We get all the different kinds of commerce in this town. Remove gradient. Bring that back to the surface, please. And this, and that, and that, and that. Was there something with an attached driveway? Yeah, it was this. It's buried, isn't it? Uh, I've never seen what a shop in a slum looks like. I'm sure I have. I'm not going to assume. We have like, you know, lots of lots of you know, little shops kicking around. But we don't have like a one step above a street fair, like a flea market looking thing, if that's what you're getting at. Also, I've never heard slum used so casually. It feels so rude to me. Uh, I'm gonna assume it's a cultural difference. All right, that house comes with a car. This guy in the middle I don't like. We're probably getting rid of him. Uh, okay. Okay, I went by it. I missed my exit. I've heard slum used casually when describing Lewiston, of course. We've got to get our Lewiston slander in today. Listen, I know you're just ornery because I had to shut down LRP. You're suffering from withdrawals. It's okay, me too. All right, let's scoot this into here. Where I live is described to use a town 5 miles south. I mean, I could also see that being used to describe a town 5 miles south of me, or north of me in this case, but I wouldn't. That's the difference. That's the cultural difference. Uh, no, but you know, I've certainly been in lower income areas and seen what a shopping, the equivalent of a shopping plaza looks like there. But honestly, the thing with that is it might even demand more detail than I feel like doing if I wanted to do it right. Um, so where on the map is this section at? This is in the middle of Bellington, which is along. If we face north, it's close to the northern, um, It's close to the northern shore of the peninsula. Maybe we'll look at the map later. But this is where I've been for a long time. Uh, we were working on this area, God, maybe a year ago, maybe longer, and I still haven't, well, finished it. What was I gonna say? There's a lot that's got to be done back here, with more row houses and other suburbs and things. I think I might steal a row of regular houses to put here, and then maybe over here. So we've got that going for us. Let's see. Yeah, so we got houses and driveways. We need fences, of course. Let's go back into Surveyor Classic for some fences. And we're just going to grab from the ones that we already have because we already have plenty of different fences out here. Um, Plan is good for the soul. What do you think is the best and worst area to live in Bellington? Ooh, that's a really good question. Um, I've always considered Dells to be a relatively wealthy area compared to a lot of Bellington. I mean, this is the 1950s, so there's a lot going on sociopolitically, uh, in terms of demographic changes and things like that. Uh, but I mean, downtown is probably not, you know, really difficult to live your life in. I would think that maybe some of the areas over here are, well, that's the thing is there's still a lot of milling going on. The the there's still a lot of employment, a lot of money going into the community from all of these large employers, from all of these, blue collar jobs and things like that. We haven't really hit a point in the history of this town, at least, where the industry has left and it has left a void, like an economic void, and the town is economically depressed, and the city center is increasingly abandoned because of that. Uh, so I don't think downtown is like stereotypically a downtown is can be a little bit rough and tumble. Of course, don't believe everything you see on TV. It's not that bad, but here, yeah, think I don't know what the worst place to live would be. Again, I think the best place to live would be over in the little neighborhood in Dells because you have a lot of amenities over there. You're not super close to any of the really busy areas. Um, you're not super close to any of the large industries either. I mean, you are kind of close to the meat packing plant, and that can't be great for your nose and also your soul. Um, so there is that. Bellington have a gated community? No, probably not. Uh, I, there are like the more modern suburbs that I could put up, but this is like the very beginning of those suburbs. The sort of stereotypical twisty roads, identical houses. Think Sanctuary Hills and Fallout 4 kind of suburbs. In this era, those would be brand new, and this town might not really be growing like that. Although you know what? No, uh, I could see something like that popping up over here on this side of the highway. So that's a good point. Let's write something down here for us to remember. Um, if I write down calm, will I remember what that means, or should I spell out the word community? I want to write something else that'll make sense to me. Burbs. I could make a waypoint with a name. Yeah, that would be too smart. I could also use the airport runway numbers that I've used to name things before. Uh, okay. Okay. I probably want some sort of hedgerow back here, but maybe not like a nice one. Maybe a really sort of poofy and unkempt hedgerow in the back. Ryan, didn't you run out of ice cream cake? Haven't you run out of ice cream cake? Has the sugar high worn off yet, or I guess not, based on that response. Ryan, I bought you 2 coaches today that you can paint to go with number 1. Just letting you know. All right. Yeah, let's keep it up with this. Or, you know what? Let's move this to here. We'll tuck that in, sort of like curly cue that in. And maybe I can scoot this driveway back to there, and this looks like the kind of backyard that would have a pool in it. So let's put a pool in it. Watching, I'm continuing to add more engines to my new fictionals roster. Good. What is this pool? That is a really sad looking pool. You're the worst night last night. It's the cake's fault. You'll never trust the cake again. Yeah, I get that way with lactose too, man. It's okay. Control Shift F. Where is my above ground pool? Swimming pool. No. Swimming pool with fence. No. I have to have one around here somewhere. I know I have one. Above ground pool. Perfect. There we go. Put that in the corner. Even just don't look at it too closely, apparently. There's some real Z fighting going on over there. The Z fighting is so hard it looks like Dragon Ball Z. Okay. Now we've got a white fence that I'm just going to use to bridge the gap between this and the next fence, whatever that may be. And I think we'll leave some houses without fences because not every house has a fence. What the fences really do is they allow the space between the houses to be broken up. They let it not look like an empty expanse with a bunch of houses lined up. The other thing that will help that is if and when I get all the trees down, and I say if and when, but, you know, when we make our tree pass and we start putting the trees everywhere, then things will start looking like, uh, a actual town slash suburb slash real life place. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of houses on an expanse. But yeah, once we get trees in here, they'll really break things up. Have I done a test of the trees? Not here, but I have, you know, I have trees down in Olive, and they look pretty good there. Honestly, all of the town part of Olive is one of the best looking parts of the route. Still, it holds up, in my opinion. It is not one of the most like normal in terms of the way that it's built, but it works. Let's see. I probably want some sidewalk out front of this. The thing is, I want to sit down and I want to think about like what trees would be here. You know? I don't want to just start throwing down trees willy-nilly. I want to think about what trees would they use as street trees? What trees would be growing in this area? I mean, we've got the Maple Beach birch spline down in a lot of places, or not spline. The maple, it's not maple. It's a big leaf and birch and something else. Whatever the forest that we have down is. So a lot of the trees are going to be out of that. In fact, our first pass will probably be with the trees from the forest. But after that, the tree pass will probably. Oh shoot! Did I? Never mind. The tree pass will probably be like infill stuff that we don't have a lot of otherwise. And yeah, that'll happen when I'm closer to done with the whole town because I want to do it not all at once per se because I don't think I could do it all at once, but consecutively, shall we say? We could say consecutively is the right word I'm looking for. Um, it's just not all going to happen in one episode. Let's do that. Is this hovering? Oh, it is hovering. Um, should we raise this up a little bit? Maybe? Maybe that was more than a little bit. Hmm. Oh man, what is happening to me? Maybe this is why I need to be drinking soda. I mean, there's not like there's caffeine in it, in the yacht club, but I don't know. I'm yawning something fierce. Howdy, Mopac. Okay, we are going to we're going to connect this up a little bit. Bellington is certainly going to be a crown jewel for a while. I am looking forward to this being done because I'm going to be very proud of it. All right, we'll have like maybe a patio area here with some tables and chairs and like a strip of grass. I think what I want to do is to add a driveway entrance here of some description and then have parking along this side maybe. Well, what side makes the most sense? Probably this side. Do I know what I need? What do I need? Need a properly crusty park engine with asbestos. I don't know if I need that. Also, it's not the right era for it yet, you know? I did even put a track out front of the roundhouse over in Dells. Um and I couldn't bring myself to put anything on it for multiple reasons. One is because uh it didn't feel like that would be correct at this point in time, but also because I don't like the look of stuff on display on a Trainz route. That's a really strange thing for me to say and for me to feel maybe, but it's just it never it always takes me out of it. It always takes me out of it. It always hurts my immersion. Um, I couldn't really. I've never thought to try to put my finger on why, but if I had to, I think I might say that it's because I know that that is a drivable thing, like 99 times out of 100. Goodness gracious. If we make it till 10 o'clock, I'm going to try, though, because I've had my balls busted enough about not making full length episodes. Uh, I'm going to try to make it at 10 o'clock. I know we started a couple minutes late, but whatever. It's close enough. Um, only museums can put things on displays. Yeah, well, that's what I thought at first, right? Or museums. I mean, not to say that having a park engine is unusual. Um, Miniature railway definitely not out of the question, especially if we do an amusement park. I said do do. Laugh it up. Uh, no, it's you can have a park engine, you can have a uh display locomotive somewhere. It's happening again. But I realize that it really isn't, it's not unheard of. And I learned this when I was doing research for batch 4 of the trading cards Into the Woods. It's not unheard of to uh, have a railroad company put a locomotive on display. If I remember correctly, Weyerhaeuser put their one of their large Malays on display after it was retired outside of their corporate headquarters, which is kind of neat. You don't see that every day. Okay, so this is all going to be pavement. I don't know what this is going to be. This is probably going to be just like grass, and then this might be patio. Or it might be some patio and some grass. I have an idea. I have an idea of like something a developer would do, not really thinking about whether it was going to be useful or not, and whether people were going to be stepping on the grass all the time. If I put a set of pavers down the middle here with a grass strip on either side, it's 100% going to encourage people to walk out of these stores, walk across the grass strip, and onto the pavers. Which, yeah, that does seem like a thing that would happen. I think having, well, aside from the 2 foot that is planned for the south shore of the peninsula and that area in general, um, having a miniature railway at an amusement park, having a miniature railway at a mine, you know, that's not out of the question either. That could definitely still happen. Uh, it's not something I would be notating on the map because it's really not significant enough to put on the map. But it's something that might have to. It's something that might have to just come up as we get inspiration for it. Yes, preference paths or desire paths. Uh, we're gonna have those, but it's just gonna be this whole stretch of greenery, and it's gonna be really gross looking after the first season. Um, what's the wackiest railroad on Tolbrynd, and why is the south side of Tolbrynd so wacky? The south side is wacky because I was too boring on the north side. We're still gonna we still have plenty of room for whimsy on the north side, but the south side is where I put stuff off to because I came up with it after I'd started on the north side and I realized I couldn't fit it over here. It's you know, uh, part of me wants to, and this is one of the things where I will look on the map. Uh, there is, oh, I can't do that. There is a turn off or a turnout somewhere over here. Where is it? Here, right here. This is an abandoned line that used to come off of the main line. Hey, where are the trees? They're there. That used to come off of the main line and then hook south across, or sorry, north across this road, and then follow this road to the sea. Uh, and this is one of those things that like I'll just tentatively say it's DLC. I could add this, right, because I wanted to make like an Atlantic City sort of place, not as big as Atlantic City, but just like an Atlantic City if they'd put it in Fallout. Oh wait, they did put Atlantic City in Fallout. What am I saying? I haven't been to the Atlantic City in Fallout, but you know, something that feels bigger than it is, and it's really just a cluster of gambling buildings. RDCs and heavyweights to the not Atlantic City. Yeah, I could call it Pacific City, really, to just like hit the nail on the head, hit the metaphor on the nose, hit the hammer on the nose. Yeah. All right. Let's uh let's get to work on this parking lot, huh? Drinking the sleepy juice. I have been drinking the sleepy juice. I don't know how I'm gonna do Daisy tonight. I'm gonna do it though. I There's no way I'm backing out of that. But I'm gonna be stumbling around. I'm gonna be stumbling around the Russian wasteland, I guess. Um, does the sea around here have a name? No, it doesn't. I've never come up with one. I've never thought about it. In fact, there would probably be more than one location around here uh, that has a name. More than one ocean-born location, shall we say, waterborne location that has a name. Because we've got the large ocean that surrounds the whole peninsula, but we also have, inlets and areas and coves, and I mean, we have one place that's named. We've got Coxsackie Cove. Um, the rivers do have names, but I'll be damned if I can remember what they are. Uh, I remember one of them is the Road River, Rhode, and then one of them is it's escaped me. But a bunch of them, they do have names. Uh, they do have names. I did sit down and figure out names sort of as I went for them. Unfortunately, yeah, no, I don't remember what they are. The Road River is fairly recent. That's probably why I remember that. Could name rivers after people that come to the streams. Well, they were named by the people, uh, which is why it's kind of a bummer I forgot them. I should have put them on the map or something, but there wasn't even room for that. But yeah, I mean, we've got multiple rivers right here. We've got this little guy. We've even got this, although this is more of like an irrigation ditch than a river. But it is still a stream of some kind. And then, yeah, we've got this river that goes through here. We've got this that goes through here. This is the Road River, if I remember right. For that branch off to Pacific City, you'd have a maybe small terminus for a station based on Woods Hole, Mass. I would need to look at Woods Hole to know, but I will take your word for it. I feel like I've been to Woods Hole, or I feel like I've heard. Hold on. Woods Hole, Mass. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's in Falmouth. Yeah, I have been down there. Yeah, that's the right vibes. That is the right vibes. Uh, in fact, you could even have like a ferry terminal there of some description. Yes, like Woods Hole Oceanographic. That's probably why I've heard of them. Um, down there on Cape Cod. Cod. Let's see. All right. What is the best way to make the most use of our space here? That's that's where my head's at. I think maybe just having the roadway come around this way into the parking lot, we'll just do it with texture. I certainly have not mastered doing roads by texture. Um, I was looking at the way Redding was doing it on the map that he's working on, and I was kind of blown away because it's above my pay grade. It's a little rich for my blood, but it's very cool. Hey, Pat, happy opening day. I'm happy. Sox won. Um, you know, good start of the season. I even put the game on to listen to while we were wrapping up LRP shenanigans. And I did check back with all the people that I talked about LRP with, just to let them know that I have actually been running a save for 14 days now, and this is where I am. This is where we are. I cannot take full credit for everything that's gone on in largest rarity possible. Let's see. What to put over here? Probably nothing. We can just leave it grassy for now. And then this whole area is going to be... Oh, there's the main entrance. Okay. I was looking for that. This is probably going to be where the semi-trucks go. In fact, Let me add Control Shift R. Or no. Control Shift R. No. Control Shift T? No. Control Shift F. There we go. Truck. I want a truck, like, loading area. Whoa, what are you? Hello. Not useful here, but neat. I wonder if I can put this somewhere, actually. Hold on. I wonder if I could fit this over here. Because we've got this going on. Oh, wait, why would it be like this? Why would it be feeding into something that's like in the direction of travel of the trucks? What? That doesn't make any sense. Why can't I rotate that 90 degrees? Okay. Sorry. Got distracted. Truck, bay? Truck door? Truck loading. These are actually some neat trucks, though. Might be able to make use of these. Not here, but somewhere. Truck rail transloader. Oh, that's neat. Oh, this is for fuel oil or something. Could definitely make use of that somewhere. I have not found what I'm looking for. Truck door. No. What is the name of the thing that I'm looking for? Garage door? Maybe just door. Let's just look for door. Barn door. Yeah, that'll do it. We'll hang that up in a modern house. Door rail access. Well, I want something like that. Factory door. Ah, factory door. Hold on. Oh, loading dock door. There we go. Okay. Let's just put a couple of these over here. There we go. Buy a couple, maybe 3. If I can fit 3 comfortably. Honestly, this is not an ideal scenario in terms of where these loading bays might be, but they've got to be somewhere. And this is going to be a weird quasi-derelict area of the parking lot, so we might as well. Pavement slabs. Okay. I love me some pavement slabs. Return the slab. Okay. Now what? We're missing the middle part in there, which I might as well do with the same thing. Well, what are the... I'm resisting it. I'm resisting the urge to yawn. I'm fighting it. I'm gonna win. You ever do that, though? Man, it hurts my jaw. Alright. The fact that these are a little bit offset is not great. Oh. Well, you know what? That's what we're gonna have to deal with. Okay. And this... Yeah. There isn't going to be any connection between one and the other, and I'm noticing there isn't any way into the parking garage. Oh, probably because I sunk the parking garage into the ground, didn't I? Didn't I? Oh, shoot. Not what I wanted to do. Oh, yeah, that's a tall parking garage. 6-story tall parking garage. How many people can fit in this mall? Well, whatever. I will keep it down to whatever I had it as before, which is, I think, this. Yeah. And we'll just roll with it because it doesn't matter. There's no way into the parking garage. That's fine. They never officially opened it anyway. Okay. Parking lot. It pains me to do this. Parking lot. Okay. Then we're gonna have to put down all the rows of parking stalls. We'd actually think about how to do a parking lot. The other ones have been small enough that it hasn't really mattered. Shoot. I have to use the stuff I learned in college? Yikes. Figured I would never use that anyplace. Okay. Um, and maybe we put down just some, like, dirt over there. Where's my dirt? There you are. Even though there are not leaves. Jesus Christ. If you take a shot every time I yawn in this episode, you'd be out. You'd be conked over in your chair by now. Blacked out. Okay. Um, that can go there. This can go here. And then I guess we'll just fill this corner in because nobody's parking over here. You're already out. Well, you are, you've got some time zone shenanigans going on, you know? Curse you, railroads, for inventing time zones. We could be all awake at the same time if it weren't for that. Okay. Now, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to add this section in here? And in fact, maybe we need another detached store here. We need buy-in things is what we need. Village pantry is not the right kind of store for this. Let's see. We need like a, yeah, we need like a tractor supply. Although I think we already have a tractor supply in this town. I bet we do. Let me look around in here to see if there's anything that reminds me of that shape from above. Oh, my back. I'm slouching. I just, I spent half the episode looking like that, and you get to look at the top of my head. I'm sure that's what you want. I don't see Tractor Supply over here, so maybe we're home free with that. This will be a nice triangle to fill in, even though it's rectangular. You get what I mean. Put this over there. Now let's go back into Surveyor 2. Long store. Where'd you get such long bacon? Oh, nope. I wanted the parking stripe texture. Parking stripe spline. There it is. And I want to start it... Well, we need to think about where our parking lot entrances are going to be. Probably over there, right? Probably here is where one of the entrances is going to be. And the other entrance is going to be... Honestly, maybe over here. Maybe over there, and then you wrap around the backside of everything to get in to the parking area of the parking lot. Although this is going to be a little awkward to do because of the way this intersection is. So we might just have it here. And then, I don't know, put one spot over here. The one poor sap that parks over here. This is like the owner of the mall's parking spot. It's not even a good parking spot. From that guy that made Shining. Well, actually, I my first thought was, oh, I should have the rows of parking like this, but really I should have them like this, um, because that is what makes more sense with the way these things are typically set up. Now, unfortunately, we're gonna have to back them up a little bit, just not much, just a little bit. Well, I'll have to back the store up a little bit actually, and then we can get away with this. I should like finish this and then copy it down the line. So let's grab the white line single spline. I remember I watched The Shining for the real list, something that Gloria would like to bring back. That podcast that nobody remembers, I'm sure. Uh, oh, if anybody does, sound off. But, you know. Okay. I watched The Shining. It was okay. I mean, I like it's one of those movies that I'm sitting there watching it, thinking like, yeah, this is a well-made movie. It's a very good film. I am not engaged. Uh, like, I'm not a big horror movie person. Uh, I just it didn't grab me as much as it could have. There were other movies that really had me on the edge of my seat, and The Shining was not one of them. Was not up there with them. Which is a shame because I wanted to appreciate it. I wanted to find a horror movie that I really did appreciate for what it was, and that just wasn't it. I still haven't found one. We're gonna have to fix that before we continue because I can't have my parking spaces sinking into the ground. Let's just do this. We're also going to need to put in some lights for this parking lot. Yeah, well, we can fit in 2.5 more rows of parking, I think. It's interesting how doing world building, and I mean this is a very literal kind of world building, but regular literary world building too. It's interesting how it can propel you to learn things that otherwise you'd never bother to learn anything about. I think. Okay, hold on. Or at least to become familiar with things. Now, I'm already familiar with making parking lots. Like I said, when I said I learned this stuff in college, I wasn't joking. I was my capstone team. Part of the project was to design some parking lots, um, but it's not a muscle I've flexed in a long time, and it's different to go into a real world scenario and pull open all the books and uh, figure out what like the city will tolerate, what the municipality will tolerate for a parking lot or whatever, um, and what works out in the real world. than it is to start building one here in Trainz or whatever and just sort of go with what feels right and what looks acceptable at a glance. But it doesn't have to be, is the thing, right? It doesn't have to be. It's a good opportunity to look at the books. It's a good opportunity to look at real life examples and figure out, oh, so this is how they do it in real life. This is how I should do it here. Um, because this will look the most authentic. And sure, you don't have to be 100% on everything. You don't have to follow the, I'm not following like, I mean, this is pre ADA, but I'm not following like the parking minimums for number of handicap spaces or anything like that. I haven't done handicap spaces at all. Which, given that if we're following the expected timeline, as it were, this would be right after a major world war, so there's going to be a lot of handicap spots required. Okay. Do we continue this down this way? Yeah, I think so. Why not? Damn it. Always the wrong way. And this is the less convenient way, too. Okay. I can't help but notice that that is underground. Let's bring that end up just a little bit. Can't help but notice that that is underground. Oh, man. What's going on here? There's a lump. There's a lump in my sidewalk, or in my ground, that my sidewalk is on top of. It's okay. That's fine. Yeah, and we'll have a row of parking here and maybe a row of parking here, too. Let's switch back to Surveyor Classic to do the texture work. And there's no fire lane either. Notice I have not made a fire lane for this. There's no room. If you've got cars passing each other here, there's no room up against the building. Or up against the sidewalk, I suppose. Something else that I've not put down in much of Tolbrynd is hydrants. There isn't really a reason for that. I think they are a relatively insignificant detail. And I have not, they haven't been present enough on my mind to justify spending the effort to put them in. And that's sort of where I've been drawing the line, right? I stop putting things in when I can't think of anything else to put in at the moment, because that means anything that's left is not present enough in my mind for it to matter. Now, that's not a perfect system or a perfect solution to anything. Don't know the last time I've seen a fire hydrant? Well, I mean, are you looking? They're still there. Don't worry, they still exist. I assume you have fire hydrants in your area, Mossy Mug. You're not on well water, are you? If you've got city water, you almost definitely have some fire hydrants. All right. I know there are ones around me because there are signs on telephone poles that are an H with an arrow and a number. And there's a hydrant in this direction this many feet. And it's for in case there is enough snow that they're completely buried. You more mean you don't notice them. Well, I mean, that makes more sense. I mean, there's plenty of people who are really into fire trucks that would absolutely notice the hydrants around them because they think a fire truck could come here. It's sort of like us driving across a railroad crossing and like looking that way, looking way down that way every time you come across it. I know I'm not the only person who does that. Come on. Just like you're not worried about being hit by the train. You want to know if it's coming. If there's a train coming, you want to stop and sit there for a little bit. No, no reason. Crossover rared crossing. I see a train. Gloria doesn't see it. I just pull over and stop. Why are we stopping? Oh, I just there's something wrong with the car. I'm just gonna get out for a second, and then I walk over to the train tracks. And then my wife makes fun of me, based on real events. Okay, let's do this. Let's just paint the town green. Although this actually shouldn't be that kind of green. It should be the other kind that I use for the abandoned houses. There it is. Now we're going to have to put something in the back of these buildings here. It's funny, when I sat down to do this, I thought, oh, yeah, easy, the mall. That's going to be really straightforward. I'm just going to, it's going to be a couple of colors and bam, done. But no, this has taken us, I mean, we've been here for an hour or so. It's not that bad. I still need to put in the entrances, which are going to be here and there. So let's do that. I have no specific direction that I'm trying to work in, or specific order of things that I'm trying to do. I'm more than happy to bop around to whatever catches my fancy in the moment. That is how you keep things interesting. Unfortunately, it's also how you allow yourself to get claimed by scope creep and like ADHD, and that is why we do not. That's why we build in sections, right? That's why we don't have the world as our oyster from moment zero. What's up, baby?
I wish we had lettuce.
You wish we had lettuce?
Yeah. We have little wraps.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask to see your teeth for a second. I was wondering if you were feeling a little were-rabbity.
I don't get it because I've never seen the movie.
That's a shame. We should watch Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Wallace and Gromit is fantastic. Nice. Just like in general.
But I wish we had lettuce.
I'm sorry that we don't have lettuce. Alright, we have that entrance there. And then we'll make another one here.
Can I have a taste? I'm gonna go eat my candy bar.
Oh, your Snickers? Hold on. What's going on with this? Did I just bury a piece of road? I totally did. I totally buried a piece of road. Huh? Love you.
Love you.
Okay. Hold on. We need to separate this into multiple different spline segments. Oh shoot. Oh wait, no, that's fine. It's just not the right elevation. It's still in the right spot. And we're gonna need the one with no... Yeah, that one. Not fun to use for this area because it's got the dirt on the side. I wish there was a version without that, but I've downloaded all of these and I haven't found one, so... Oh well. Excuse me. What do I want to do with this, even? Probably just connect this up and make it even wider than it needs to be. Let's find one without pavement markings. Always vexes me how far it is from where I start with these. And then let's go into Severity 2 for this adjustment. Really need a hotkey for this. It's a shame that there is no hotkey for this. Put that there. Yeah. Now let's just scoot it in and pretend like that's wide enough. It's not, but we'll pretend. Really? Damn. I'm surprised. Well, we have that. Oh, it's got to be some Wallace and didn't wasn't there a newer Wallace and Gromit movie that came out? You know something I wanted to say, which was that the last couple days I watched all three of the newer Sonic movies with Gloria, which was a lot of fun. Honestly, I've never been a Sonic fan. Full disclosure, I've never played a Sonic game. The closest thing I've ever come to that was playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl at my friend's house, which is a game with Sonic in it. But it is it was really those movies are pretty funny. I mean, Jim Carrey does a lot of the heavy lifting on those, especially the third one because you get double Jim Carrey. Um, but still, they're pretty well written and they're pretty darn funny. Let's scoot that up there. Can recommend. Back to Fair Classic. This over here, and then we'd have like a little bit longer spaces in front of Tractor Supply, maybe for people to park truck with a trailer, or back up a pickup. And then maybe we could have something going up right here. Maybe we don't know what it is yet. Maybe it's just like an empty foundation or like a pavement slab or something. But maybe there is something that's going up here. Because I feel like that's a big empty space, and adding more parking just ain't it. We've got plenty of parking. It's also nice that the mall is right across from the college. I'm sure that's not a coincidence. They knew what their demographic was. They're gonna have some 1950s mall rats walking around. That's for dang sure. And then maybe we will put a trailer or two in the back here. Although, oh, you know what? I should rotate this building. Now there's a tree in the building. Is it perfectly square? Can I just rotate it perfectly into place? That would be pretty cool. Yeah, okay. I'm sold. It's in there. And we've got the back side of the building is now the back side of the building. Perfect. You've got to take from the stuff whatever you can get. You know? Life gives you lemons. Oh, and we've got more of this here. In fact, I should make another. Oops. I should make another curb cut here to get stuff into the back of this building. And then let's just grab this dirt and leaves from over here, I guess, and put it here. And we'll say they're going to build something, but we don't know what yet. In fact, I'll even put up some fencing around this. I'll fill all of this in with the dirt texture, but I don't think this whole area is going to be cordoned off, just most of it. Because it's probably wise to put the pavement slabs down the back here. And down the side here. I do love me some pavement slabs. To think that we really didn't have these, we really didn't use these in Olive, and they are one of the most used things that I have in this town here. Um, hold on. Fence. Let's look for a fence. We need like a construction fence. Um, Nothing fancy. Like this. This doesn't strike me as portable fence. Well, maybe it'll have to do. What's up?
Does it smell good to you? I mean, I know it's pepper jack, but
It smells kind of funky.
okay. Throw her out.
Okay, let's do that. And maybe I'll just bring this down here with a gap between that and the side of the... I'm thinking about doing a gate, like an open gate back here. But I'm not sure it'll come off the way I want it to look, so can we get like... Oh, corrugated fence. That would be one way to do it. What about... Whoa, hello. That is a cool industry. We're gonna have to use that somewhere. That looks a little rusty for being, Oh, hello. Not what I expected. Yeah, these are a little rusty. We're on the right track though. That is what I want. I want something that looks like that. This is also too rusty, but is also going in the right direction. It needs to be something that clearly is not that permanent. Um, but isn't like from the Wild West. Uh, we're not letting people into our homestead here. We're letting them into a construction site. But we generally want to keep people out, so we don't want it to be like one thing of metal. This is why I don't bother with gates most of the time. Yeah, no, that's our gated community gate is what that is. Yard gate. No parking. I mean, I could see a regular gate being a little bit beat up. Maybe we go back to the top of the list and grab the ones that were up there because that's the closest thing we've got to what we need right now. Even if they look a little bit dated. I think they got all new fence, but they didn't get a new gate. They got the gate from somewhere else. I wish if nothing else this gate was what's the word? It was opaque. I wish you couldn't see through it. That would work better for a site like this. I'm sure there's a whole suite of things that would work, but sometimes in this series it's just the equivalent of me sort of walking around in the hobby store and trying to figure out what to grab for my layout. If they have it, I'm taking it. If they don't have it, I'll get something else. Okay. The mall. We got the mall. What about portable? Can we get like a no? Wait. Portable toilet. Yeah, okay, hold on. When was the Porta-John invented? There we go. Now we've got now we're getting somewhere. We got a porta-john and a little portable building for whatever is going to be going up over there. I could even put like an excavator in there. Well, I don't know what I don't know what a 1950s excavator looks like. Uh, Probably something like this, right? I'm just gonna park this guy over here. Oh, never mind. Let's use the one that's not cockeyed. And then, uh, what would you call it? A tank? I want like a portable oil tank. Um, Maybe even one that's just sort of sitting on a couple of logs. Not you. Although that's a cool building too. Hold on. Let's put these over in the physical pick list because I think we could make use of them. Where is the physical pick list now? It's over here. This and then where's the where's the Australian building that I was looking at before? I mean, I'm distracted because I want to get just a random cylinder. I mean, just a cylinder. Yeah, exactly. That's what I needed. And these are both kind of neat. Um, Australian Industrial Estate. Whoa. What is this? Small fabrication complex. That's really cool. Oh wait, I think we've used this before. Have we used this before? We did use this before. This is the brewery. In whatchamahoosit. Where's the one that I was looking at? Oh, I think it's this one. Corrugated iron factory. I assume it's because it's made of corrugated iron and not because it makes corrugated iron. I guess. Brick factory. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Alright, what's next? We pretty much have the mall done, which is good. We're getting along with the mall. Whew. Take a stretch where, you know, halfway through Manifest of Bellington. Oh, Woods Hole. Oh, I see the photo of Woods Hole. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. All right. Now what? So, we have everything short of this road done except for this triangle in here. Um, which means that this should probably be our priority because then we can say everything on this side of this road is done. You know, we can do this and this. I don't remember what it is we wanted to put here. I know I put one house here on the corner. I would not really want to be living right back against this factory. There's a famous photo of a factory with all the lights in the windows and some houses that just happen to be directly adjacent to it. I'm sure anyone could find that picture if they really went looking for it. It's a, old photo, black and white. This does fit stuff under it, right? I need a sign that says "Will not clear, man on side of car" over there. You know what we are missing? We're missing the invisible track at the end of this. Uh, why is there grass here? This shouldn't be there. That has to be a misclick. Oh, it's probably something that accidentally got copy-pasted along with the stuff that is there now. Okay. Invisible track. If I was on the track selection, it might actually work. Yep, BNSF 50. Okay. And we will extend this into the road so we can have a little bit of Thomas comes to breakfast situation if we're not careful. And we also are going to need our track end here. There we go. Okay. You know what I'm realizing is kind of funny is we've got this garage door here. So should I sink this track in a little bit? Should I make this area paved, actually, and use, you know, use, the other kind of track, the track that's in the pavement, the rails only. Incidentally, this piece of track is not going to get used because that just goes to, oh shoot. Careful where you're painting. This would have gone to over here, but it no longer goes to over here. And then this. Yeah, these are industries that we have to figure out what we're doing with. We've got all the industries in Dells done, which is, great success. And I think we even got them put into the sheet here, right? Yeah, we've got lemon power, in here, and that's going to be doing that. Although I realize that this industry, oh no, turn that off. Yeah, because I don't want that second. We don't need 2 health bars on the power plant. So I guess we are going to work on this area here. What's got to go? Well, we need to finish this, don't we? We could probably fit 1 or 2 more buildings over here. Do we think we have the largest building on campus? I probably want stuff that looks more like office buildings and stuff that looks like school buildings. That seems like the kind of thing that would be correct. Oh, wow. That is a cool looking building. Although the terrain here is really not super conducive to anything like that. But it's a big empty space otherwise. I don't feel like I can leave it. I feel like I need to put something here. We're getting yard offices at the wazoo. I'm wondering if we can take a building that was made more for a city and put it down in the ground a little bit to chop off the bottom 2 floors. That might be the way to do it. Oh, it's a police office. Huh. Yeah, these buildings are all very chunky. What the heck? Oh, wow. Holy cow. I feel like we come across that thing about once every month or so, and it blows me away every time. What about you? You are a reasonably sized building that seems to fit the aesthetic of the area. In fact, I could even double up on this thing if I wanted to. Put it there. Why not? Let's see if we can put something else next to it, because that is a good building. We could have one of these. One of these would like be a good chemical lab. Although with all of the loading bays is probably not it. Or even like a you know, like I could attach this. I could attach it and leave it at an angle too. Uh oh. Yeah, I can't do it totally like that. Um I want it to be as close as I can to this without it sticking into. Yeah, okay. Maybe that's as good as we're gonna get. Oh, this isn't level either. This ground is not flat. But we just want to take from the closest spot we can, because we want to allow there to still be terrain variation across these areas. That's why we're going to smooth up to the level that these buildings are sitting at. And this hill could maybe be quite forested. There were some areas at RPI in between the buildings that were pretty. What's the word? Pretty densely packed with trees, more than you'd expect in the middle of a college campus. And I know some of that was due to the fact that the campus was almost 200 years old when I was there, and now it's over 200 years old. And those trees had had time to grow. That is something that we're going to have to think about and pay attention to when we do our tree pass. The amount of time that a given area will, sort of have been left alone. And I think that this area might end up having a lot of trees, partly because it's fairly sloped and there isn't much you can do with it otherwise. What's up, baby? What'd you eat?
I took one of the chicken breasts
Mm-hmm.
that I fried up the other day, and I cooked it,
Yep.
chopped it up,
Yep.
chopped up some red tomatoes, took
Nice.
the cheese spread that we have from the breakfast wraps.
Oh, that was still good.
Yeah.
Mm.
I spread that on, put the chicken down, the chopped up some red tomatoes, a little bit of cucumber mayo,
Yep.
the pickles, roll that up, made a burrito.
Now this is the kind of food innovation that only comes under these circumstances. Oh, well, I'm gonna eat that pasta. Don't you worry. I'll eat the pasta.
There's one more piece of chicken.
I'm gonna eat that piece of chicken. Okay, we need a way to get down here too. Let's see. There goes Venkman jingling away. I think I want to put a fence up between. We're gonna have some desire pads over here. I think we're gonna want to put a fence up between the running track and this walkway, especially around this side where it's very tight. Just to think, some years ago, just a few years ago when I started this project, I would never have bothered this much with walking paths. And now, walking paths are a great deal of what I do. Let's connect this to here. Now the problem is, because this is going down a hillside, it's going to look really goofy unless I straighten it out, and if I straighten it out, then it's going to look even goofier. Well, let's see. What happens if I do this? Okay, at least it's still sticking to the ground. That's good. And I will also keep this pathway, this walkway in front of these stands. Oh, hey, look, we got a train finally. I haven't had it turned up very much. I haven't been sure if the ASMR diesel idling sound is present, but best know that I keep that on. Okay, let me see if I can match the curve radius a little bit. And I'm sure there's going to be a desired path that goes like this, so we might as well do that. There's probably going to be a desired path that goes like this. Or like this, even. Oh, yeah, this is the 100%. We messed up and we should have put a path here, path. Yeah, now it's feeling like a quad. So this is what we gotta do. We gotta put down paths everywhere where people would naturally want there to be paths. And then it will feel right. Although up here, I'm not entirely sure what to do. Up here, I might do like a sort of patio area. Although I might do grass. I don't know. This is my current like question mark area. The rest of this, I'm pretty sure is good. We can plant the grass and move on. In this area, let's do that. Oh, are we gonna? Yeah, we'll have the greener grass go up to the back side of the buildings. Why does the building separate the different kinds of grass? Don't worry about it. Nobody knows. It's probably because of shade. It could be because of shade. Um, could be what the different grasses are used, the different areas are used for. Who knows? Uh, but we're gonna keep this grass on the inside for the most part. Put some over here. I did say I wanted to have fencing around this end of the track, which I think we will still do. If I can get a chain link fence that doesn't look menacing. Let's get rid of that little red splotch. Um, okay. Oops. Oh, you know what? I actually wanted to... I guess I was using this grass over here where the track is. I don't know why, but that's what I was doing. So I'll keep doing it. I'll have... It's a pretty small sliver. It's actually kind of tough to notice that it's a different grass, but let's let's put some area back here. Now this grass looks like too high quality. Honestly, it looks too nice. I don't want this, but I want the one that's right next to it. Gotta remember your shortcuts. I guess these days you can put uh, ground textures on pick lists, so that is a thing that I could and should be doing. You know, there used to be the favorites drop down underneath the paint section. Also, the fact that it is called paint really, I feel like maybe unintentionally harkens back to the roots of Trainz being a build your ideal model railroad kind of simulator. But I am glad we have it. I'm glad Trainz has become what it has become, even if it has destroyed creations from time to time. All right, this area, this area. You know, I'm gonna do something outside of the box because it'll make my life maybe a little bit easier. Let me go find that plaza where I was using like pavers. There they are. Cobblestones on the ground. Although maybe I should mark off the edges of this concrete area, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. That, and then over here. Seems like almost a natural extension of what we've got going on. Um, and then we'll put like the nicely manicured herba 3 manicured herba 3 grass in here. Feels like a zoo enclosure, honestly. Yeah, let's box that off a little bit more. And then for back here, we can put the herba 3 grass. This is walking grass. Although we probably could do to put down a pathway or two there as well. And we'll see what it really looks like when we come and do the paths. Or not paths, when we come and do the trees. Then we will really see what's blocked off and what isn't. Let's bring this here. Let's bring this from the doorway to here. I'm really trying with these paths to make things not look super bad. Oh, and there's no gate over there. Okay. I feel like this should go up here. I feel like it should be stairs, but, life's not going to be that easy for me. I'm not going to make my life that difficult, rather. I'm not doing stairs. Stairs are a pain. I'll do stairs where I have to do stairs. Not where I can get away with concerningly steep ramps. There we go. Sort of. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's just about the college campus done. Bellington Standard University. Honestly, this back area here is probably like it shouldn't be blacktop, but it should be like a patio. And if I don't know, really, what about? See, I didn't want pavement. I wanted pavers. What is this? Well, can this look good? Honestly, it doesn't. What if I just put it over here? That actually doesn't look half bad. That is some texture detailing, if I've ever seen it. Not good texture detailing, mind you, just some. Oh, right, the fence. I said I wanted to put in the fence. Let's find a fence that works for our purposes. Let's see. The thing is, you can't put the words in whatever order you want, so if I write chain link fence, fence chain link will not come up. So I suppose just putting in chain, it gets me all the things with chains. And there will be more miscellaneous things with fence than there are miscellaneous things with chain. So that's fine. And you know what? That doesn't have any barbed wire on it. I feel like that would be inappropriate for a school track. Um, so we're good. We're very good. We're all good. Um, yeah, just don't need people over here interrupt, like wandering out onto the track without thinking. I think that is the goal. All right. All right. Bellington Standard University. Who's still around? Is anybody still around? We got up to 6 viewers earlier. Now it says we have 2. This this couple of blocks is next, and they're already. I'm looking at them and I'm already getting concerned because of the way the terrain is. This street is up much higher than most of this block, and that might make it difficult to put anything there. In fact, I might want to drop in some larger buildings here, have a parking entrance come in this way. Yeah. And then just let this hillside be more natural. I've seen that before. Where's my Erba 3? Well, no, this wouldn't even be Erba 3. Well, maybe it would be, actually. Let's try this stuff first. Let's try this stuff. Because, yeah, that gives us some leeway as to what we can plant on it and make it still look good. This area is quite possibly still offices or apartments. Um, maybe I should just punch in city and see what we get. I did for a moment just see a spline. Um, so we've got this hotel, which is really nice. Pretty sure we've used this building before. What's up, baby? Hmm? Hmm? Cool. Back when it was still a mall. Should put that in the Rhode Island problem. Let's see. This is also a BS city building. Tell me how you really feel. Oh, it's another hotel. Oh, this is gonna be like Hotel Row, huh? If we put all these here. I need buildings with more depth, honestly. Um, hmm. Need buildings with more depth, but I don't want something super old either. Um, this would be a good place for, I don't know, city offices, convention center stuff, like buildings that do not need to be too tall. Now, I can't help but notice that this building is 4 stories tall, and it's almost shorter than the 3-story tall building across the street. It's got to have some low ceilings in there. But, you know, it is what it is. Something we could also do on this side is we could go back doing more of these small stores as long as they have the depth. Um, like these, maybe? Yeah, this isn't bad. But these are not the kind of buildings that you would necessarily need large parking blocks behind. So if you were to move these guys down the road a little bit, we have the hotel district buildings here, and then you put this guy right here, right up against the road where it wants to be, really. It's got that sidewalk right in front of it. Then you have space for parking back here, but as this area gets more sort of palatable for putting buildings in, you start filling it a little bit better. Now that is more of what I'm looking for. But this is kind of outside of the area that I envisaged being the downtown. I still think that due to the size of the blocks and due to the character of the adjacent blocks, and due to the way this stretches out here, I think having this be sort of the last foray into these kinds of buildings is acceptable. Something else that could be here is a couple of industrial buildings. There's a place, there's an area in Providence that this is reminding me of, that's sort of on the edge of the built up area right before it gives way to three deckers and stuff like that. Um, that has a factory building, like a packaging company, uh, which isn't rail served, but it's very close to a rail yard or a former site of a major rail yard. So I could certainly see it having been rail served. I don't know. I haven't actually. I could go back and I could look, but yeah, we've got some. This area is probably making its own life, so to speak, because of those hotels. Um, and we've also got the JR downtown buildings. I kind of forgot about those. Um, I'm wondering if putting a row of those here makes sense, but this area is not quite old enough for that, maybe? Maybe it is just barely old enough. But let's see. If we put this on the corner here, push it in a little bit so that maybe you can have. This reminds me of the side of the Albany Central Warehouse, the cold storage warehouse, with all those truck bays. Which means I would want to scoot it this way so that there's enough room there. Which makes a lot of sense that maybe it would be lined up with this building, and also there would be no curb here, and you can just back in semis. Hmm. And a lot of these are fairly nice looking buildings. And we're getting right up to the edge of town, basically. Wow, that's actually crazy how perfect that is. It looks really, really good. Just having the pipes going like across the main road is kind of sick. I'm realizing I could have this attached to pretty much whatever building I wanted. Um, hold on. What if watch this. Okay, maybe not quite any building I wanted because it's slightly too tall, but uh if I if I make this like this, oh, you know what? I'm still a couple of degrees off from perfectly square with it. That's probably about as close as it's going to get. Scoot it in just a little bit and then lower it like one tick. Yeah, now the stuff on that roof looks normal. And we've got this. And so we've got like an industrial building that's taking up some space. Like a significant amount of space in this block too. That is sort of just like right on the edge of town. And I think I'm gonna get rid of that. I'll keep this one. Uh, where? Let's look for that roof because I'm certain I've used that before. That's too nice of a building to pass up. I don't see it. I don't see that roof. Maybe we once again dodged a bullet with which buildings I have used and which ones I have not used. Maybe I was thinking of this one or this one. Hmm. Oh well, yeah. Like a gift horse in the mouth. Not one to do that. Okay. And then let's scoot this over so it's parallel with this, so we have sort of a natural alleyway there between those two buildings. And then we gotta find something to put in here. Just have a front door. Now it's the same on two sides. Let's just scoot this back until there's a door on the side of that building. No, there's just a window. Okay. Buildings sharing walls is quintessential cityscape. Although buildings not sharing walls with a gap of like 3 feet is also pretty quintessential cityscape, especially in this era. Just leaving the most unusable. What the heck? Huh. Okay. That's cool. It's a giant mural. What is this? Samp? Does that say Samp? What does that say? Is that an F or an S? Is that an A or a U? What's going on here? Um, this building is the perfect size for me to put into this. If somebody can make sense of what that said, feel free to drop a comment. Samp. Pennsylvania Samption. Okay, yeah, we got some buildings there. And then, yeah, we're going to give way to suburbs on this side at some point. Probably relatively soon, because we're running out of stuff. I don't remember what this means. I don't remember what UC means. Someone needs to go back and figure out what I was talking about. We are missing like a random little industry that comes off of here. Probably off of there or something. But this only goes into the shed here, so imagine having to back up into the shed to push forward with a car. That seems difficult for the AI to do, much less a human. I don't know. I've been waffling on whether or not to include a excuse me, whether or not to include a track back here or not. Now this area is probably just going to be pavement. Although the entrance cannot be from over here because of the different splines that we have available. And to hammer that home, I'm going to put a brick wall here. Probably a nice one, too. Okay, maybe not that nice. Maybe the nice ones they were all sold out of nice brick walls, apparently. What about this one? That is not a tall enough wall. I mean, it's tall enough to discourage people from jumping over. Relatively. I don't know. You could probably climb over that with some effort. That one is definitely too tall. I need something with... I need the wall to be a little thicker than that. There's one I have in mind, and the reason that I want to put a brick wall here, part of the reason anyway, there's a particular spot by one of the bridges in GTA 3 that I have like a visceral, like a strong memory of. Is that barbed wire? That's a little much. I said GTA 3, and it's like, oh, I know what you want. I got you. Ooh, that's really cool. I did not know we had that. Concrete block wall? Honestly, the concrete block wall might be okay. This is hovering. Every building is hovering because no place in this town is flat, which is a kind of like, hooray, we did it. You know, we didn't give in to the Trainz desire to make a completely flat world. But let's put that there. What's going on here? Oh, never mind. Yeah. I mean, at least... Oh, I see what happened. Yeah, the ground over there is higher. Hold on, let's see if we can fix that. See if we can fix that at all. No? Wait, is it higher? Or am I just freaking out? I'm hallucinating. Been talking to myself for too long. There we go. Now we can grab this height and just put it along the edges of the building here, and also put it along where this thing is. Oh, I'm realizing this roadway is not flat. Hold on. If I do that, okay, it doesn't ruin anything. It doesn't ruin anything to do that. Perfect. Let's just get these edges here. There we go. Why is this pulled out so much? Oh, I see why. We might just have to live with that one. And we might want to actually... Hold on, I'm going to remove this. Because this looks bad, number one. And number two, it can be used as an entrance to this parking lot. And I know I didn't do that the first time because I wasn't thinking of it. Oh, shoot, that's 2 buildings, because of course it is. We got to go into Surveyor 2. Which is something that I was going to do anyway, because that building and this, I like them parallel. So I'm going to scoop them together. But I don't want to scoot them too close because I still want to leave room for semi-trailers over there. I just want to leave enough room to get, like, a entrance in here. And then here, I think I want to... Where are my basic wooden fences? There you are. I probably want to go back to Surveyor 1 for this. Oh, look at that tiny little alleyway. What were we just talking about? I want to box this in. Part of me wants to just... Yeah, whatever. Do I leave it as one large yard, or do I individually... Hey, Redding. College Model Rare Club is doing an op session. Very cool. How'd it go? My op sessions, they either go one of two ways. They go, oh yeah, everything was fine, or oh my god, it was a catastrophe, and there's no in between. I don't know why. It's just when it rains, it pours. Probably because if it's not a problem bad enough for the entire railroad to notice, only a couple people are going to notice, and everything will look like it was fine. There are always going to be issues in op sessions. Oh shoot, I'm supposed to dispatch. I'm supposed to dispatch at the Providence Northern in a couple of days. That's right, I definitely cannot miss that. I am signed up to do that job. Sue GB38 kept getting really confused about the direction you were going. Oh, not Sue, Southern. Longhood forward. So one of the first diesels I ever drove in DCC was like a chop nose Jeep 9 or something. That thing is still kicking around the Providence Northern somehow. But a lot of the other engines that I learned on, not learned on, so to speak, you know, not to say that like, not to say that a particular DCC locomotive has much of a learning curve. They do if you leave momentum all the way on, but which is something that I like to do. But there was a set of New Haven RS3s, and those are all, of course, long hood forward, very goofy. Look at that little. Look at that. We gotta hold on. We gotta fix this because we don't want people walking in there. You know, I just realized something, which is that nothing in this game has collision meshes, so I can just walk straight through the fence. Like, I'm Casper, y'all. I'm going straight through walls. Whoa, this has like a floor on the inside. That's not something I expected. And so we did that. considering that they were considering rare-order operating sessions over the summer. Oh, boy, do I have a mod pack for that. uh, yeah, no, absolutely. You should name it like get them to name the company Breen Incorporated. Um, all right, let's insert spline point here. Enjoy largest rare order possible while it lasts, because that update is gonna happen, and it's gonna be like it's gonna feel like the end of the world for the people that love mods, and for the modding community just in general. It's gonna be very different than Minecraft modding because I get the feeling that unlike Minecraft, well, not I get the feeling, it's a Steam game. You're gonna move on to the next version. It's the phenomenon, the Minecraft modding phenomenon of like people hang back on certain versions and keep developing for those versions is a rare sight to see. Um, Railroader, I don't think will be one of those games, and in fact, I'm not sure I could pinpoint what is the juice that Minecraft has to uh, to allow the modding scene to exist in the like version superposition that it does. Oh, my throat is starting to hurt. Um, but it's not going to keep me from guessing and being wildly speculative. Just bear with me for a second. I think it has something to do with the fact that, well, one, it's not a Steam game, so you never had to update. B, more than it not being a Steam game, it is not a game that was necessarily formally distributed or had like a formalized launcher for a long time. It was just, oh, here's the new jar file, go nuts. Here's the new jar file, um, and that was true for a long time, and that sort of locked in the modern era Minecraft, allowing you to access any version you want because people have their preferences and mods have their versions they work on and versions they don't. Um, let's see. Yeah, no, I'm sure people are gonna absolutely go crazy, and once they figure out how to get one mod converted, they're gonna be able to figure out how to get all of them converted. I mean, uh, how difficult can it be to convert engine number 25 after you've done engines number 1 through 24? Uh, the nice thing about it seems like the modding community, aside from everything that's aside from like the couple of factions, I guess that there really does not seem to be too much factionalism in the modding community that will prevent them from coming together and figuring out what to do next, and how to move forward, and like whatever is needed, because you know you sort of look at the modding scene and you go like, oh god, Railloader and Strange Customs are relied on for almost every track mod, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Uh, and then UMM will certainly update and survive. Uh, but it's like, oh dear, what are they gonna do with all the track mods and Strange Customs, Railloader, etc. And it feels like, oh, they're not making any progress on replacing Railloader. They don't need to, not yet, and they don't know what you know. They're not going to try to figure it out yet because they don't know what the target looks like it yet. They don't know where the target is. Um, yeah, thankfully, almost everything is on Nexus. There are a couple of other sites that hold a couple of other things, but they're kind of niche mods. Um, and even then, a lot of those sites, a lot of those things are also on Nexus. So it is very helpful to have, the community sort of condensed into one major hub. So, I think it's going to be okay, but they're just not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to figure out how to make headway because they don't know where to go until the update comes out. So, I've sort of been concerned with the apparent lack of progress in the community, and then I realized like, well, duh, of course there's going to be no progress. Progress towards what exactly? Um, oh, although it would be cool if they can figure out a rail loader esque thing that sort of packs onto packs onto UMM, so everything can just go through that. Okay, this is done. This is a cool little area. This feels like a hospital, honestly. Okay, it's not quite done. We didn't get the edges, but that's not too bad. We can take care of that. Let me just grab dirt and leaves for the edges. Um, Actually, I should have grabbed the other one, the dirt and grass. This one, grass and mud. I guess that's the same thing as dirt. It's just wet dirt. It should turn into grass and dirt when it's not raining. Okay. And I don't want to get too much dirt in the parking spaces. I can't really avoid that. I actually don't even know if these tiles are on 5-meter grid or 10-meter grid, but I'm not going to try to update them. 5-meter grid is for track tiles, which I guess, yeah, these sure are. But okay. So I want to talk for a minute on the way that current and max work on the spreadsheet because I want to process this, and this is how I think about it. I just talk, I talk at you. Um, so originally, current and max were for industries that were not set up as multiple industries. Everything else, the current and max was the same. It was this is how much it's producing, period, or and consuming. Now, the reason that that's different is because the other industries, the default industries, which I've mentioned before, originally Tolbrynd was going to be built around the default industries, and the other industries were going to be sort of there playing backup. Um, there's no way to turn them down to only a handful of carloads a day. It was just going to be, yeah, okay, you just sort of feed it however much it wants, or however much you can, and it'll produce that much output. You know, like the sawmill in Olive. Um, the sawmill in Olive basically it produces so fast, uh, or it produced so fast that it didn't matter how many logs you fed it during the day, it would process all of them. And there was a similar thing going on with the actual log loading industry up on the branch line. It was a default one. It made a new log like every 30 seconds, which means it produced thousands of logs over the course of the day. It was a dizzying amount of logs. That was fine because it meant that these core industries you could serve as much as you wanted to. If you didn't want to operate them very much, you could just serve them to the current amount, and that would allow all the other industries on the map to produce. And it would allow the industry chain to continue in the way that was expected. But there are some like the sawmill, which the sawmill out on the olive branch is something that I don't really know what I'm going to do with, to be honest, because it's a very complicated industry, and I'm probably going to have to rip it apart and build it again uh, in terms of in terms of the actual programming of the industry. So that's I don't know. That's something we'll have to cross. That's a bridge we'll have to cross when we come to it. Because that industry, it produces a set amount, but it produces faster if you give it more logs. Um, it's it was me being way too clever for my own good. I'll be honest. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I was too clever for my own good. So, you know, whatever. Just gonna have to live with that. Gonna have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But that has a different current in Max, and it's a multiple industry. I think it's the only one that is that way. But now, because everything is multiple industries, except for that one industry, I suppose, uh, everything's current and max is going to be the same, which means that the current and max thing is totally useless, right? Uh, if you have two different columns and they're giving you the exact same data, uh, then what what's the point of having two different columns? And if we rebuild the hold on, Control Shift F wall, if we rebuild the olive branch sawmill to work, hey rail yard, um, if we rebuild the olive branch rail yard sawmill to work sort of like we expect it to work where it just produces and consumes a set amount and is nothing special, then we could absolutely remove the extra column from the spreadsheet. I've been starting these sentences not knowing where they're going to end up. That's why I'm so disjointed. And there we go. We're making the lines. Uh, what is up night? Well, we're working at this end of the town. I'd like to get these blocks done. I don't think it's going to happen tonight, but that's what my aim is. Now, my idea is we could we could have industries that actually deliberately have a maximum capacity that's higher than what they're able to produce because there just isn't enough of the source material available on the line. The reason I say that is because of the scrapyard situation and the recycling plant in Mason Valley. Um, maybe it's best if I give an example, right? Um, like I said, the reason there was a difference between current and max is current is what is possible with the available supplies on the or with the available other industries on the railroad to balance out supply and demand. That's what current was for. Maximum was for if you shoved as many of the inputs into this as physically possible, this is what you'd get at the output. And I could theoretically change the current level to make sure the commodity balance on the map worked uh, without messing with the actual programming of the industry. And that's what I'm getting at here. So right now, our industry over here, and I'm going to take a break from the scenery work and talk about industries for a second. I'm sorry. Been doing scenery work for 2 hours. Need a break. This industry here, this recycling plant, is the most complex industry in Mason Valley. It takes in two different kinds of scrap metal and some other stuff, and it outputs some other stuff. As a matter of fact, if I look at consumer industries, Mason Valley, this is Ginger Metals. It takes ammonia, it takes scrap metal, and it takes iron pellets. Now, it produces two other kinds of scrap. Basically, um, it's making sorted scrap from regular like. So the point is, we have a kind of scrap. That kind of scrap is the scrap that comes out of the scrap yards. That scrap comes here. It gets sorted and refined into two other kinds of scrap. Maybe one of those kinds can be recycled into steel. Maybe one of them can be recycled into aluminum or something like that. Maybe one is ferrous and the other is non-ferrous, right? That's a good way to think about it. Um, so we've got that. Now the thing is, this is finely tuned, right? It takes in, um, it takes in 4 cars of ammonia, 3 cars of scrap metal, and 1 car of iron pellets. And those are all nice and round numbers. I get a cylinder, so it's a Ferris wheel. Yeah. Very funny, Mossy. I was talking about RPI earlier. We invented the Ferris wheel. Um, the thing that I could do, especially because we're no longer strictly bound by uh, by carloads because of Living Railroad, and I haven't even thought about this uh, because this was all set up originally so that you could switch out every industry every day. Everything would be on a set schedule, and the whole cycle, the whole 24-hour cycle would happen. Um, and everything would be backwards started, ready to start again, basically. Which meant that we had to have a minimum of 1 carload per day, and they had to be in carload increments. Hi, Ellis. Is your group the people that had the smoke? Sorry, I say hi, Ellis, like this person hasn't already been talking like Railyard. Uh, we, yes, I will say yes. I am a member of that group. I was also on the opposite side of the building with one of the little model railroads. I had line of sight to the WWF people, but yes, we had the smoke box of number 10 there. Um, it's weird to say we. I wasn't volunteering for the WWF at the Big E, but I am a WWF volunteer. Anyway, sorry. Um, we don't have to do that anymore. We could have a less than carload industry, one that rolls over twice or once every 2 days or once every 3 days, because we're not stuck with the same cycle anymore. We could revise all of the industries, really, to get normal carload amounts out of them so that they don't all have to be switched every day. I don't think I'll do that. I don't think I want to bring things below 1 carload per day because uh, because I want everything to be switchable every 24 hours. That's sort of something I've been aiming at. Oh yeah, the boxcar. Hang on a sec. Hi, Banker. Hey, buddy. I know. You're hungry. It's almost time. Um, yeah, I was so happy, especially like the connection between myself and Mark in this boxcar now. Here it is. Rutland 7999. Probably my favorite boxcar ever. I'm so glad I'm the owner of this. I am absolutely over the moon about that. Um, Anywho, um, yeah, I don't think I'm going to reduce it beyond like below 1 carload per day. But the thing that I could do, the thing that I could do, and it might encourage me messing with ratios, but it's a thought, is make these things scalable. Make them run twice as fast, 3 times, 4 times as fast as they currently run, if that's possible. Um, so that we could bring in more cars of scrap. We bring in 3, and I think that's balanced. If I look at the commodity balance, if we look at scrap, which this is scrap metal gray. That's the unsorted scrap. Excuse me. Currently on the map, 3 carloads are produced and 3 carloads are consumed. That's it. Um, these are those 3 carloads. They come from where do they come from? The producer industries, uh, scrap metal gray. 2 come from the shipbreaker down at Mason Landing, and 1 comes from the scrapyard in Olive, which makes a lot of sense. Um, so yeah, 2 come from here, and 1 comes from over there, and that's really all. That's all we have going for us in terms of the scrap cycle. But there's other places where we could get scrap. In fact, I'm planning to build the largest scrapyard yet, because every place needs a scrapyard. Here in Bellington. And this thing could output another 3 carloads of scrap, or even 6 carloads of scrap a day. And that would mean, well, very simply, we could have that industry consume twice as much, which would be the easiest solution. Um, or we could have that industry run twice as fast, and then would consume twice as much of everything, and it would produce twice as much of everything. See what I mean? Unless you don't provide it with all that, in which case it would still produce the same amount it does now, but it wouldn't consume, that's what I'm saying is we could make it so that there are industries that will operate at a base level to fulfill the commodity balance of the map, but if you wanted them to run faster, they would. And the benefit to that is it allows it allows you to play catch up, which is something that you cannot do now. If you were to run this map, assuming staging worked and assuming all the industries worked right, if you were to run this, and assuming you were a god and you could run 10 trains at a time, if you were to run this map, you would have to make sure that everything happened. Because if you missed and an industry stopped, you're never getting that production back. It's never catching back up. It's going to delay the entire rest of the chain. Now, that doesn't really matter, because all that changes is you get a couple fewer carloads one day here, and then a couple fewer carloads one day there, and then it eventually catches back up when you get your feet under you and you know, assume an all-powerful, assume your you take your rightful place as the all-powerful railroad deity. Um, then you get everything back on track. Interesting question. Everyone has debates about the Mallard and T1 record thing, or, the S1 maybe. That's my editorialism. Do you think any Eastern Bloc communist countries would have had the speed record given the chance? So, first of all, I will say, first of all, I need to sneeze. Sorry. First of all, I will say that I am no scholar of Soviet engines, unfortunately, right? I do wish I was, but I don't know enough about them to speak on, like, what were the fast ones, right? Very, very basic level, what were the fast ones? I cannot say. Oh. Huh, I didn't realize that wasn't straightened. What about this one? Oh, okay. We know which way that one needs to be. So I don't know what the fastest locomotives were. You would think that perhaps having high speeds across the Trans-Siberian Railway would have been desirable, but I'm not aware of any such attempts. And in fact, in my, again, in relatively insufficient understanding of Soviet steam motive power, speed was never really much of the equation. Reading, I find it interesting that a lot of railroads in the U.S. didn't make a big deal about their maximum speeds. It just wasn't in vogue here. It was it was really a European dick measuring contest that the U.S. did not feel the need, or North America in general, did not feel the need to get involved in. Now, why is anybody's guess? I mean, there are 1,000 reasons why we weren't interested in comparing ourselves to our European counterparts. Um, but yeah, it just the things that got advertised in the U.S. were not maximum speeds; it was time. Uh, right? It was like, oh, we can get you here to there in 16 hours, which it's a different kind of metric, right? Because you're worried about how long it's going to take you to get from Chicago to New York. Um, Most people in Europe are not traveling that kind of distance, so it's a matter of hours instead of a matter of single hours instead of a matter of dozens of hours. Um, it's okay. I've gotten Alice before, and yeah, no, I think part of it has to do with uh, the golden era. Well, there's a lot of sort of historical stuff, shall we say, that went on in the Eastern Bloc around the time where the Steam speed record was still a thing in vogue. Um, Sorry, but yeah, it was never. They were never interested in. Oh, no, can I see a different invisible signal? Where's my normal invisible signal? I hear you, Venkman. Let's just use the invisible buffers. Why not? The magic buffers. Um, yeah, perhaps there's no small part of this equation that is answered by, well, frankly, the Soviet Union never had the chance to catch up. Uh, Russia was kind of a backwater before the First World War technologically, and a lot of what the Soviet Union was doing was playing catch up with the Western world in terms of what they could build and what they were building. Um, in terms of what industry they had. It was, you know, there was a reason why the space race was the space race. It was, holy crap, the Soviet Union is catching up to us technologically, but they couldn't quite manage. They couldn't. They, you know, it's sort of like the first world and the second world, right? And I'll use the Cold War terms, right? Because nobody ever gets to use the term the second world anymore. If you're racing cars, and the first world is way out ahead, and I'm not using any of these terms derisively. I want to make that clear. Uh, and the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc is racing to catch up. Come hell or high water, they're flying up, and then the Western world, who is not really used to this kind of competition, it's like, oh shoot, they're catching up. Oh shoot, they're catching up. Oh, we should probably hit the gas. And that's that's the way it went. It's the spirit of competition has done a lot, but the Steam speed record. I don't know why I'm adjusting these when I'm going to change them. the The Steam speed record was, by the time there was any sort of technological parity, and we're talking like after World War II, the Steam speed record was not really a thing that was fought over anymore. I mean, Mallard's high speed run was what, in the 20s, early 30s? No, I'm thinking of the actual record itself, which is 126. It was 1938. Okay. Um, Thank you. Yeah, the USSR had bigger fish to fry than trying to make the fastest train. And also, infrastructure wise, well, the Soviet Union was less built around internal travel than much of the West because of the way commerce works in that kind of system. So there was less of a reason to move people around really fast. And their greatest distances, of course, the Trans Siberian Railroad, there just is not a lot of demand out that way. And there, I mean, despite how busy it is, it's still, it still pales in comparison to a lot of the to North American main lines in terms of sheer volume, as if I understand correctly. I mean, I've never looked it up, but point is, and I might be wrong there. I'd love to know about the volumes on the Trans-Siberian Railway. Um, Point is, I just don't think the Eastern Bloc was ever in a position to make a run at the speed record. Is probably the right take there. Um, they never had. In order to have a locomotive with a chance at the speed record, you need to have a reason to build a locomotive with a chance at the speed record. And in order to have a reason to build a locomotive that can go that fast, you need to have infrastructure that can go that fast. In order to need to build infrastructure that can go that fast, you need to have a lot of things that need to move with a time limit. Things in this case, I mean people. Um, the fastest trains were passenger trains, and the Soviet Union didn't have the didn't have the disparate large population centers that North America does. They didn't have huge cities with nothing in between for hundreds and hundreds of miles. Um, and then yeah, I mean you have the Soviet Union was moving on from steam engines basically as quickly as they could because again they were you know they were always gunning for the next big thing, for better or worse, right? Um, the the space race, nuclear power, you know, more diesel and electric motive power, things like that. Uh, Speed wasn't really a national pride thing. I mean, speed was a national pride thing. I mean, Germany and the UK were in the race for the speed record, and I mean, you don't need to be a historical scholar to see that there was a little bit of some beef between those countries, UK and France as well. USSR relied extremely heavily on coal and did not like the power the coal workers had. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Uh, the coal miners had a very significant block of power because the nation needed them. Uh, and I do think the strategic steam reserve is a little bit fanciful. I'll be honest. I don't think that such a thing was needed. However, I think it's super cool. Uh, I think it is incredibly cool. Uh, I think it's the kind of thing where it's just like, yeah, sure, why not? Contingency plan. It's like Batman out there. It's Stalin's paranoia seeping through. Uh, well, what if we have to go back to the steam engines? Why would we have to go back to the steam engines? I don't know if there's nuclear war. I feel like we'd have bigger fish to fry if that happens. Uh, the UK steam reserve, and it's also something you can do when you are a, uh, sort of what's the word? I don't want to say a communist country because that's not really what I mean. I'm not really talking about the economic system here. When you are a a country with that degree of governmental power, particularly over the railways, you can say like, yeah, okay, put all the steam engines away. You were never gonna get like Union Pacific to do that. Okay, they saved an 844 and they keep running that thing around. And the big boy, oh god, here it comes. Uh, but you know, the thing is, you can tell your nationalized rail system, okay, we're gonna build some sheds and we're gonna put some things in the sheds. You can't like, the major American class one railroads are never going to do that because it doesn't make financial sense. Uh, they're not worried about how do we keep making money if Washington D.C. is a smoking bombed out crater, uh, and also every other major city on the planet. They're worried about like, hey, what'll make our share value go up right now? Um, and yeah, no, having the ability to like wake up the railroad to rebuild your country is not a bad idea. But I think the fact of the matter is, and maybe this is a little bit of a morbid take on it, you're either going to be doing that during the war a lot, you know, or the war will not be long enough for it to matter, and afterward, you're in trouble, man. If the war is short enough that you don't have time to get your railroad into a wartime stance, and thus you're gonna pull all that stuff out of storage anyway. Um, it We might be done, chat. Uh, is there like the sliver of, well, yeah, okay, but the survivors will be able to, I've seen the show Revolution. I wrote the Zombie Train anyway. Uh, I haven't actually seen that show, but like, isn't there a steam train of The Walking Dead for like one episode too? Uh, Point is, um, if it's bad enough that you're not able to pull your engine, that you're not pulling your engines out of storage, um, you're not going to be around to put the pieces back together. Uh, yeah, it's one of those propaganda things. I don't even know if it was a propaganda thing. I think it was a paranoia thing. Uh, Although I could see it being like if people are worried about the move. But again, this is I can't speak to the mentality of the folks that chose to do that. It's just my own take on it that it is really cool and I love the Strategic Steam Reserve. Um and you know, I just don't think it would be ever really that useful. Uh because come hell or high water, that water is going to be really high and you're drowning. And some steam engines aren't going to save you. When the super mutants come knocking. That said, again, I'll say it again. I love the Strategic Steam Reserve. I think it's super sick. Yeah, propaganda because of paranoia. Paranoia because of propaganda. Save your bottle caps. Remember, when you hear the sirens, get under your desk. You'll be okay. Or at least you will be feeling like you're going to be okay in your last moments. Uh, yeah, which Soviet Union electrifying their rail system. Based, cool, good job. Um, Everyone manages to do it except for like capitalist backwards America. Again, it's not like there's some sort of strange lack of willpower. It's that the railroads are controlled by people who are trying to make money right now. That's why. You could say future gains as much as you want, but You show Union Pacific the price tag on electrifying Cajon, and they're gonna. It's a BNSF line, isn't it? Apologies, haven't played Run 8 in a while. They're just gonna, they're gonna like drop dead, But the shareholders, Bob, who's helping them out? There's some people in this country who want to nationalize the rail system. Yeah, I mean, I'm not staunchly one of them, but I don't think it would hurt. That's the and my take on it is this. It's not like, oh, we should nationalize the rail system. It'll solve all the problems. No, it won't solve all the problems. Of course, it won't solve all the problems. But all it needs to do is be better than the class ones, and that bar is really low. Uh, you know, if URGW evaluate electrification, each time they'd be dead before they even got one section done. Yeah, but that kind of thinking has never stopped the Rio Grande before. They chickened out. Uh, the thing is, especially when it comes to railroad building, you can't let that get in the way. You need to go and do the thing. As ridiculous as that sounds, as like nonsense as that sounds for me to say, right? Uh, it's just like most railroad projects looked atrocious on paper. Um, yeah, and that's true. The Midland totally got killed by USRA. Uh, you know, I won't say buffoonery, but inattention. I mean, really, it was just that the Midland was in good shape, so they put a lot on it, and they figured it would always be in good shape. And there had never been a bankruptcy like that before. In the history of railroads in the U.S., we'd never lost a class one like that. Um, and they were doing a lot. They were doing a lot of heavy lifting, and they were absolutely beat to hell. And there they went. Um, but Strasbourg got a whole person to represent them. That is kind of funny. Strasbourg would do that. Strasbourg would still do that. Strasbourg stay winning. Um, but no, it's nationalization. It's not a panacea. It's not a magic bullet. It's just something that is something that is worthy of being in the conversation in an era where the major freight railroads in the US are hellbent on squeezing blood from a stone when it comes to their employees and their customers. Uh, oh yeah, I'm confusing mixing up the Midland story a bit. It's been a while since I've heard it. Uh, was it the route that was very nice? So they got a lot of attention from the USRA in terms of like carloads. Uh, I remember I remember Weibold was regaling me with the Midland stories when I was over there, and I didn't pick up enough of it. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. It wasn't the locomotives. It was the route. Bankman, I hear you. Still not sure what to do with this area here. Maybe just some trees, honestly. Um, yeah, and it was unthinkable at the time that you would have a a bankruptcy like that and somebody wouldn't come in and buy the railroad, buy the infrastructure, buy the right of way. Um, And, you know, then it happened. The Midland couldn't make it. It's the kind of thing where it's absolutely a blunder uh, on the part of USRA and a part of regulators. Of course, there was a war on; they were a little distracted, but you know, not a great look. Okay, poor Midland. Rest in peace, Midland. We hardly knew ye. I'm not enough of a scholar on the Soviet rail system to say what it was built for, but based on my understanding of their locomotives, much more of a freight centric railroad than a passenger centric one. Oops. All right, let's get this wrapped up in here. But again, there's lots of bad examples and bad precedents in the world if you look at what has happened with nationalization, unfortunately, right? Because usually nationalization happens when stuff is hitting the fan. Conrail ripped up a boatload of stuff. The Beeching Axe, you know, ripped apart, ripped apart the UK's rail system. It's it is difficult to look at them and not say it's doom. You know, it's difficult to look at a nationalized system and not say it's doom. Uh, but we all can look back on the Beeching Axe and recognize how bad it was. We can all look back on Conrail and understand that they were doing what they had to survive in an overloaded area in an underappreciated industry and underutilized railroad tracks. Um, and yeah, no, I agree. Having a non-governmental monopoly is a problem for other reasons, because you have no recourse if you have no recourse if railroads put the squeeze on you. But the fact of the matter is, there will never be a railroad monopoly again, truly. Um, at least not in the U.S. At least not in a way that we know it or think of it, because there will always be trucking as an alternative. And sure, you're not going to truck out thousands and thousands of tons of Powder River coal, sure, but for most industries, even if there is only one railroad in town, which is most of the country, there's only one railroad in town. Um, Having more than one class one in your neighborhood is the exception and not the rule. Uh, they still have somebody to compete against. That's you know, that's the rub. Um, and I don't have all the answers and I don't have all the solutions, but I know that uh, you know, railroading's biggest enemy, a railroad's biggest adversary will never again be another railroad. Uh, it will always be the automobile, at least in North America. I suppose you could call it the bright side, but really, it just means that there's less pressure on railroads to run efficiently and effectively. Like, you'd think it would mean that there's more. But the fact of the matter is, railroads can get away with ditching anything smaller than a unit train and still make crazy money because those are the only places where you can retain a monopoly over trucks. With trucks still in the conversation. You're never hauling thousands of intermodal containers or all of that coal on trucks. It's just not going to happen. So your friendly neighborhood class 1 is going to charge whatever it wants, but because this is kind of a corner of the market and doesn't necessarily affect your day-to-day consumer, there doesn't seem to be a lot of pushback. It also doesn't help that functionally the railroads have more power than God. Uh, and that's sort of the way it's been for 200 years at this point, uh, or at least about 150. You know, it's a tough situation to be in for the U.S. Uh, yeah, railroads versus automobiles and trucks and airplanes, which is why the common cry of like we should break the class ones in apart, it doesn't help. It wouldn't help the way that people think it would. Because sure you'd have railroads competing against one another, but railroading as a whole would drop in efficiency, and trucks would win even harder. Uh, what you need to do is convince railroads to come back to carload and less than carload service, which isn't going to happen unless you force them to. And that's a shame, not because of any economic factor, not directly, but because railroads are more efficient and less polluting and less congesting and less dangerous, pound for pound, versus trucking by a significant margin. So that's where we're at. Uh, More short lines and regionals, not a bad idea. But everything still needs to work, certainly in today's environment, because short lines and regionals actually give a damn about their consumers. Um, and then, you keep that car on a short line and regional for longer, uh, it spends less time sitting in North Bailey Yard or North Platte Yard, getting kicked around by Union Pacific, and a little railroad actually has some leverage to say, you didn't deliver our car on time. We're trying to make money here. We can sue you, as opposed to a business which is saying they're not delivering our cars on time. We're just going to get trucks to do it. Um, it's a small railroad in today's environment can be a middleman that assures the shippers it's okay while going to bat against the class ones in a way that the shippers can't and won't. That's my take on it anyway. That's my thought. Maybe that's not how it works at all. I'm not any smarter than a fifth grader, so anyone remember that show? Anyway, I think we should wrap it up here. I got pretty carried away and distracted at the end here, but that's all right. We got the mall done and we got the university done, and that is a good place to start for a little bit of renaissance. I don't know. We got more industries and things to do, but I will see you all around. This is the Admiral signing off.